This week, to be closer to China. China is now the largest renewable energy market in the world. Its electricity production from renewables doubles that of the United States. Yet, China's renewables supply only about 1/4 of the country's total power generation, most of which still relies on coal. To accelerate use of clean energy, China has developed some of the world's leading hydropower technologies.
概括起来啊，中国水电的发展的特点呢，一个是快，一个是新，一个是高。中国的高坝建设在世界上是首屈一指的。那么我们100米以上的高坝，大约有230多座。
我们不回避水电站它的建设过程中间对环境的一些影响，因此呢，我们希望通过技术上的创新。 一个呢是减少现有水电站对环境的影响，第二个呢是从根本上建设新的电站，就像刚才我们提到的生态友好的水动能发电系统这样电站。
Why has hydropower become one of China's business cards? Does China have an opportunity, indeed an obligation, to share it with other developing countries?
中国水电的优势啊，主要是我们中国水电企业、水电的全产业链的综合集成优势。 从规划研究从勘测设计到工程施工，到投资建设，运用维护，包括技术培训。那么我们可以给项目所在国提供全产业链综合集成的这种服务。
This week, follow China's renewable energy to be closer to China. For decades, China prioritized economic development far above environmental protection. But when severe pollution began to elicit public complaint, priorities began to change. In 2005, Xi Jinping, then the party secretary of Zhejiang province, stated famously, "Green mountains and clear water are equal to mountains of gold and silver." A grand strategy that today, President Xi Jinping has set for the entire country. By the end of 2017, China reached its 2020 carbon emission target 3 years ahead of schedule. China had cut carbon dioxide emissions per unit of GDP by 46% from the 2005 level. China's non-fossil energy accounts for about 14% of primary energy consumption, with a goal of 15% in 2020. In China, a major source of alternative energy is hydropower. According to the National Energy Administration, at the end of 2018, China's hydropower installed capacity was about 350 million kilowatts, and its annual power generation was about 1.2 trillion kilowatt hours, both ranking first in the world. What's the story of hydropower in China? What are its benefits, challenges, risks? Appreciating hydropower in China is one way to be closer to China. China's continuing industrial growth requires increasingly more power. Much is generated by thermal power plants, but coal-fueled power has caused choking air pollution, lending urgency to alternatives such as solar, wind, nuclear, and hydropower. By generating electricity from hydropower instead of from coal, in 2017, the world prevented approximately 4 billion tons of greenhouse gases, 148 million tons of particulates, 62 million tons of sulfur dioxide, and 8 million tons of nitrogen oxide. Since the turn of the century, China's development of its hydropower resources has been remarkable, such as Three Gorges Dam, Xiluodu Dam, Xiangjiaba Dam, and others. In 2018, China increased hydropower installed capacity by 2.5%, bringing its total to just over 350 gigawatts, generating 1.2 trillion kilowatt hours of electricity, contributing nearly 20% of total electricity generated, far outstripping wind and solar. The country now accounts for over half of global hydropower growth. As China pivots to renewable energy to reduce its greenhouse emissions and fight pollution, hydropower continues to be the foundation of its renewable energy industry. To reach its ambitious alternative energy goals, China is emerging as a leader in green finance. Please brief us on the development of hydropower in China. Compared to other countries, what's special about China's hydropower?
开挂起来啊，中国水电的发展的特点呢？
To summarize, China's hydropower development features rapid growth, innovative technology, and the remarkable height of its dams. First of all, this fast pace of growth is manifested by 350 gigawatts of installed hydropower capacity, which by the end of 2018 had generated nearly 1,200 terawatt hours of annual energy output. Second, the technological innovation of China's hydropower projects has greatly advanced the industry's developments. Our hydropower engineering technologies rank among the world's best. Third, our range of high dams outnumbers the rest of the world's. China is home to more than 230 high dams above 100 meters, while 23 of them stand 200 to 300 meters tall. That represents the lion's share of the entire world's high dams.
占有相当的比重。
在我们水能资源这上头呢，有2个主要的数据。
Hydropower resources are mainly measured by 2 factors: theoretical hydropower resources and the available technological hydropower resources. For China, the figures are 676 gigawatts and 378 gigawatts, respectively. By the end of 2017, the worldwide capacity of installed hydropower and of electricity generated by hydropower stood at 1,267 gigawatts and 4,185 terawatts per hour, respectively. Of this, a remarkable 27% and 28% are contributed by China, respectively, which assures its position as the world's largest producer of hydropower.
What's the status of hydropower in China's energy industry?
目前
Hydropower accounts for a crucial portion of China's current power system. It's second only to coal power, while new energies rank third. In addition, we honor our commitment to the Paris Agreement and its climate change goals. To achieve those emission reduction goals, we should further exploit clean and renewable energy. Hydropower now comprises more than 60% of clean energy, so requires vigorous development. To improve efficiency, China's current energy mix needs restructuring. That's why developing hydropower meets our requirements. It's a path forward that is clean, low carbon, and efficient.
What's the impact of the development of hydropower energy industry on China's environment?
Hydropower stations are generally recognized as a clean and renewable energy source, which, while exploiting hydropower without consuming water, barely emit any greenhouse gases. Unlike thermal power stations, which bring dust and carbon dioxide, the hydropower alternative could significantly reduce carbon dioxide emissions and more effectively respond to climate change.
In answering the call of the times, recent years have witnessed the rapid development of renewable energies. In 2014, President Xi Jinping proposed a revolution of energy production and consumption. China's energy developing strategy calls for a modern energy system that is clean, low carbon, safe and efficient. To combat global climate change, we must use less carbon-intensive energies. In this sense, we should become less dependent upon coal. Globally, growing energy demands are mainly being met by renewables. Natural gas, as a relatively clean fossil fuel with less carbon emission, holds great potential. However, from a long-term perspective, it's renewables that could fundamentally tackle various pollutants and carbon dioxide emissions. The Renewable Energy Law of the People's Republic of China was adopted in 2015 and covers an array of policies and mechanisms to support the development of renewables. We've set goals for the future. Of our primary energy mix, the share of non-fossil-based energy should reach 15% by 2020 and 20% by 2030. This is our mid to long-term strategy for renewables.
China has built many hydropower plants along the Yangtze River, generating electricity all year round. But only certain areas can be covered. Much terrain in China is mountainous. Long-distance power transmission is not economical. In response, the Chinese government started a project called Small Hydropower Replace Fuel in 2003. Since then, the country has been reducing the consumption of fuel wood by 6.7 million cubic meters per year, thereby protecting forest areas of 14 million mu, while providing fuel for 4 million farmers. During the 12th five-year plan period, 2011-2015, the cumulative power generation of rural small hydropower exceeded 1 trillion kilowatt hours, equivalent to 320 million tons of standard coal. Although hydropower is the most cost-effective method of creating energy from a renewable source, social and environmental consequences of large hydropower installations are a complex challenge for hydropower. In 2016, the Chinese government began an upgraded version called Green Small Hydropower, which focuses more on ecological protection. At the beginning of 2016, the CPC Central Committee's document number 1 proposed the development of green small hydropower. In the past 3 years, China has promoted the construction of green hydropower in an integrated manner and has said it has increasingly attached importance to the role of small hydropower to protect the ecological environment. Can you introduce the background of the green small hydropower project in China?
In the very beginning, the project aimed to replace fuels with a portion of hydropower. More specifically, this measure also complemented our protection of natural forests. It returned some plots of land, which farmers used to harvest grain, back to forestry, because the farmers living there also needed their energy and power demands met. The project lasted 12 years, from 2003 to 2015, and benefited more than 1 million people by generating roughly 1 million kilowatts of installed capacity. In contrast with the relatively high electricity expense for rural daily power consumption, this small hydropower project enabled lower prices. What made this possible was a central government subsidy earmarked for investment in water conservancy projects. This design ensured affordable electricity consumption for farmers without them feeling the need to cut more trees for firewood. Though hydropower is universally recognized as green and renewable, that doesn't mean it causes zero impact on local rivers or regions. We must take relevant measures to minimize any impact. That's why we propose to build green small hydropower, also known as GSHP.
What's the difference between the traditional small hydropower and the green small hydropower?
First of all, GSHP plays an exemplary role in eco-friendliness, social harmony, standardized governance, and economic rationality. Overall, it represents the way forward for small hydropower, which is also known as SHP. The real innovation, in fact, results from the greater demand for sustainable development, expanding the capacity for that sustainable development, and the broader efforts to build a national, green, ecological civilization. It is in line with our green growth concepts and deployed as part of our energy resource revolution. For all these reasons, our SHP now needs upgrading or even full transformation. That is to say, we set higher standards once our economic and social development reached a certain level. Beyond the need to satisfy electricity demands, we are considering ecological factors. The defining difference between GSHP and fuel alternative projects is in its conception. From planning and construction to operation and management, we require that each link is kept green. This isn't simply a project, but a comprehensive evaluation of the sustainable development capacity of the SHP stations. In the process, we are raising awareness of green development on everything from conception, standards and protocols to other elements.
So far, what kind of results has the Green Small Hydropower project had? What kind of results are you expecting in the future?
The development of GSHP is still in its relatively early stages, with 44 and 121 GSHP stations built in 2017 and 2018 respectively. Meanwhile, nationwide, we now boast 47,000 SHP stations. So with just 44 and 121 green SHP stations built in the past 2 years, you can see how tiny their share of the total is. I want to point out, though, that GSHP represents the trend in sustainability. Our change in approach and focus on green SHP is exhibited in every aspect, such as planning, construction, and operation management.
Hydropower generally requires dams, which increase the water level, thereby giving the hydropower plant greater energy. But at the same time, dams come with consequences. When the natural course of a river is diverted, the adjacent areas may become flooded, interfering with the natural flora and fauna. People living in those areas get uprooted. The life cycle along the river can be cut in half. What if a hydropower plant could be created without a dam? Professor Ma Zhijie from China's Institute of Water Resource and Hydropower Research invented a machine called Hydrodynamic Energy Conversion Device. Does it solve the problem? Professor Ma, can you introduce the Hydrodynamic Energy Conversion Device?
The
Hydrodynamic Energy Conversion Device, as a patent-protected invention, aims to turn hydropower into electricity without harming the environment. Traditional hydropower stations rely on buildings, dams, and reservoirs to convert energy, so some impact on the environment is inevitable. It's true that we can take measures to reduce the negative impact it generates. However, whatever we can do, they only serve as modest remedies. As technology advances and as we increasingly turn to hydropower to produce electricity, we wonder if we can address the root cause of this impact by not building dams, diversion tunnels, or reservoirs. We need more technological innovations to fulfill such a proposition. Hydropower involves both kinetic energy and potential energy. Water-retaining structures are necessary to employ potential energy, but unnecessary to employ kinetic energy. From this perspective, we've done a long-term study and come up with a power generation system backed by kinetic energy.
What kinds of problems can this device solve? What are its benefits?
The full name of this device is called Eco-Friendly Kinetic Hydropower Generation System. There are several benefits of this invention. First, from an ecological perspective, it doesn't impact the environment like traditional hydropower stations do. No dam means no cutoff, land occupation, relocation, or damage to aquatic life. Second, the hydroelectric generating set is a tailored product. When a traditional hydropower station is dismantled, the generating set will be dumped. Thus, the building cycle of hydropower station is a relatively long process. For small stations, it takes 2 to 3 years, while big ones may even require 5 to 6 years. We're working on generating sets that are purely supported by kinetic energy and can be standardized. Such an eco-friendly power station may only need 3 months or less to build. Yet every coin has two sides. The small generating sets have disadvantages too. While they target the existing hydropower stations to reduce environmental impact, the smaller-sized equipment only employs kinetic energy, unlike the traditional ones, which employ both kinetic and potential energies. In terms of energy conversion, less energy from the source results in less energy converted. Big hydropower stations cannot be replaced entirely, nor should they be.
The renewable energy industry in China is developing rapidly, especially solar and wind energy. These sources are clean and green, but they depend on weather conditions and may vary significantly over monthly, daily, or even hourly scales, and thus require system flexibility. To mitigate the impact of this variability, to enable constant electricity, China is adopting a program called Complementarity of Hydro and Photovoltaic. This program integrates solar, hydro, and wind energy into a hydropower system, interconnecting grids, storing energy, and assessing complementarity between renewable energy sources. What kinds of problems can this program solve? What are its benefits?
Overall, I think the benefits are fourfold. First, we successfully identified and explored a new model of energy mix or power generation. Second, we've developed a new technology to synchronize hydro and PV power, laying a foundation for further advances. The third benefit is that while PV or wind power may experience volatility, intermittency, and randomness, when they're combined with hydropower, they adapt better to power grid operation. In this sense, wind and PV power are better absorbed. It enables the hours to be utilized more effectively and the power grid to operate more economically. It's also worth mentioning long-distance transportation. With the hydropower station's transport channel in place, there's no need to build new channels for generating PV power. Therefore, it improves both the operational and economical performance of power grids. The fourth and final benefit is that it supports the development of renewables. The complementarity between hydropower and PV or wind power is that it connects these new energies to power grids and functions better after being adjusted by hydropower. In this sense, the further development of hydropower is essential.
In 2000, the Chinese government began encouraging enterprises to implement a going-out strategy. Since then, China's hydropower enterprises have been participating in international cooperative projects with the model of funding overseas. At present, China's electric power construction enterprises provide a package of solutions for countries and regions along the Belt and Road, from the traditional general contracting model to planning, investment, construction, and the operation of the entire industry chain and the entire life cycle. Today, China's hydropower enterprises are operating in more than 140 countries and regions, accounting for more than 70% of overseas hydropower construction. By the end of 2018, Chinese companies had participated in the construction of about 320 hydropower stations overseas. The installed capacity of these projects is 81 million kilowatts, equivalent to 3.53 Gorges projects. It is said that hydropower has become China's beautiful business card in world markets. Can you describe the trend of China's hydropower international cooperation?
Through China's Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI, Chinese hydropower also now enjoys deep, extensive international cooperation. First, through intergovernmental cooperation. More than 80 countries along the BRI route have signed either an agreement or a memorandum of understanding with China's Ministry of Water Resources, with the Bureau of Energy, and with other government agencies regarding power planning and hydropower research. The second form of partnership is through enterprise cooperation. Chinese enterprises now develop hydropower in more than 140 countries around the world. These other countries hire us for a range of cooperation, from the designing, planning, and investment to the actual construction and operational management. Typically, this relationship in the host country is between Chinese enterprises and local or third-party enterprises. The third form of cooperation is a three-way relationship between Chinese financial institutions, international financial organizations, and financial agencies in the host countries. These relations, in fact, have greatly facilitated the recent surge in the global hydropower markets. The fourth form of cooperation is between scholars and experts. International organizations like the United Nations, World Bank, the World Water Council, the International Hydropower Association, and the International Commission on Large Dams all provide a vast arena for academic exchange on hydropower development, dam building, and reservoir management. Our experts share Chinese wisdom, experiences, and insights with ever-growing influence in the global community. All this cooperation has extensive and far-reaching impacts.
What are some effective models by which China can cooperate with other countries for mutual benefit?
When it comes to hydropower development, we credit our achievements to the government's macro guidance. We have a relatively sound legal system, which supports the construction project process, control system and approval procedure. Hydropower is mainly developed by state-owned enterprises, so the exploitation process generally reflects the government's desire to achieve comprehensive utilization and sustainability. Many countries encounter problems with comprehensive utilization, which may arise in flood prevention, power generation, irrigation, and other issues. This requires an overarching department to effectively manage all these issues and to ensure the successful pursuit of hydropower.
What are the trends for forecasting China's future hydropower development?
I believe
the focus will continue to be on innovation in three significant aspects. First, we are aware of the environmental impact caused by hydropower stations, and we hope to minimize that impact through technological innovations. On the one hand, reduce the negative impact of existing hydropower stations, while on the other, tackle the root cause by building brand new ones, like eco-friendly kinetic hydropower stations. The second aspect is to enhance the utility rate of maritime hydropower. While the utility rate of freshwater hydropower has hit 40%, the rate of seawater hydropower remains remarkably low. Raising the utility rate of freshwater could trigger high marginal costs. However, so going forward, we'd like to tap into seawater's enormous potential. The third aspect of further innovation will facilitate synergy among various renewables. Again, each renewable has its strengths and weaknesses. It's only by forging greater synergy through innovation can we fully realize their potential.
We apply modern information technology to both hydropower utilization and the management of drainage basin security. In particular, technology like the Geographic Information System, the Hydrological Information System, the Geological Hazard Information System, or GHIS, and the Building Information Modeling, or BIM, System for Architecture. Beyond this, we embrace smart building and operational technologies. Over the full life cycle of hydropower projects, as such technologies continue to advance, they'll offer strong support for dam building, basin security management, and sustainable utilization. I believe this is one major trend that's just around the corner.
Hydropower is clean, low carbon, and efficient, exemplifying President Xi's call for green mountains and clear rivers. Hydropower accounts for about 35% of China's domestic natural energy resource, second only to coal, and accounts for more than 60% of China's clean renewable energy. One problem with hydropower is its ecological side effects. For example, river dams that affect the migration of fish. That's why green small hydropower is being developed to find balance between river conservation and renewable energy. In China, hydropower resources are highest in regions where energy needs are lowest, which is why hydropower should facilitate infrastructure development. What about new hydropower sources such as tidal and ocean wave power? How about information technologies, including AI, to enhance efficiency, provide river basin safety management, and simulate environmental issues? Since China's hydropower leads the world, China has an opportunity, indeed an obligation, to help other developing countries. In the Belt and Road Initiative, hydropower exemplifies both infrastructure development and clean, sustainable power. An early Belt and Road project is the Carrot Hydropower Run-of-River plant in Pakistan. The project is structured as build, own, operate, transfer. After a 30-year period of Chinese-led operations, the plant will be transferred to Pakistan without compensation. There is no perfect alternative energy source. Ideal is an optimum mix of solar, hydro, nuclear, wind, biomass. Alternative energy is closer to China.